She did her PhD in American Literature from DAVV Indore. With a teaching experience of over 18 years, she has been working with SGSITS Indore for last 12 years. She has an exposure of teaching at MANIT Bhopal for around 2 years. She has many publications in various national as well as international journals of repute to her credit. I welcome you, ma'am, and please chair the session. Ma'am, please unmute.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this lovely introduction. And good morning, a very good morning to everyone. The organizing team of IPS Academy, which has been very close to my heart always. This August gathering of participants from across the country, and of course, the others who are involved in the organization of this program. Thank you so much. And my topic for today is, it is professional ethics. It is on professional ethics for sustainable development. So, ma'am, I would first see if I'm audible and my presentation is visible to everyone. I would like to know, ma'am, if the presentation is visible.
No, ma'am.
But then I don't have this control for sharing. It is not, that is not activated. The box which is there for sharing is not activated.
Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Have you shared your PPT with me?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
So we will control from here. Okay, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So hello everyone, and the topic for today's presentation is professional ethics for sustainable prosperity. And if the presentation is ready, ma'am, I would begin. Nevertheless, when the presentation comes up, until then, let's discuss a little. Ethics we are talking about, and I'm very, yes, ma'am, I'm very fortunate to have this topic as in this FTP, because I have always been keen on discussing on ethics on every platform possible, because whatever I see in today's times, I feel that values, morals, ethics, all these things, even not only me, but I think all the bodies like UGC, AICTE, our judiciary, everybody is stressing on the fact that somehow we are deteriorating as a society. If when the ethics are concerned, ma'am, there is a disturbance. Somebody needs to mute themselves. Can you please mute yourself, ma'am? Yes. So I was telling you that today we need it more, because values, morals, and as a society, it seems that we are heading towards deterioration from what we were today, say 100 years back. We have deteriorated a lot since then. So that's why I'm fortunate that I get this opportunity to discuss this topic in this FDP, so that I can reach out to so many people and listen to their viewpoints and contribute myself. Ma'am, again, somebody has unmuted and a lot of disturbance is there.
I request all the participants, please mute. I request all the participants, please mute.
Ma'am, can we move on to the next slide?
Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am. I want to move on to the next slide now.
Okay, ma'am.
All right. So freedom. When we talk about freedom, everybody these days is so very obsessed with freedom. Nobody wants interference in their lives. We look at kids, we'll find that they don't want the parents' interference in their lives. Similarly, the couples don't like any interference from their say in-laws. Then even to that extent, the spouses don't like interference in each other's life. Everybody wants their own freedom. So that is a false freedom, a freedom where man is free to do what he likes. This is false freedom. As Charles Kingsley has pointed out, that the true freedom is where he is free to do what he ought to do. That is, we must be taking care of ourselves. At the same time, we must also see how it is affecting others. So this is something very important to be noted. When we come down to ethics, the previous slide, ma'am. When we come down to ethics, I would like to ask a question here. Is it that we find immediately or we hear the word without going into the real technical definitions? I would like to have the views of the participants that once you hear this word ethics, what comes to our mind? If anyone interested in sharing.
Something which is genuine in right way.
Yes, we can say that. Any other opinion?
Which are
Sort of
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
a set of rules which is imposed by society.
Okay. Yes, so that's what I say, that the moment we talk about the word ethics, uh, several things comes to our mind. Ma'am, we have to move down to the previous slide before this. इसके पहले वाली slide. Okay, just after this, yes, this one. This one, ma'am. Yes. So when we talk about ethics, there are several things that immediately come to our mind. There's a golden rule saying, do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. Some would say that it is a Hippocratic oath, like first of all, do no harm. Then somebody would say that it's given in the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill. Some would agree to the Confucius's opinion, like treat the world as a family. So there are a variety of things that come to our mind. But the most common way of defining ethics is norms for conduct. That So let me continue. There was some technical issue.
Sarika ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, you may continue, ma'am.
There was something wrong technically, I think.
Yeah, technical
Okay.
issue.
Ah, yes. So let me resume back to what I was saying. I was saying that ethical issues can be defined that way in a general term. But before we go into the technical part of it, I would also like to have some discussion on ethical dilemma. Has anybody of us experienced ethical dilemma?
Hello, ma'am.
Sometimes noise is breaking and automatically it mutes. Ma'am, audio is off.
मैम को बोल लें
Ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. I've joined through other device now.
Yeah, sure.
So this is what I was discussing, and I wanted somebody to share their experience on ethical dilemma if they have ever witnessed any. Okay. So then, if not anyone else, I would say I am going to share my experiences. Although there are many, we come across ethical dilemmas each and every day. But one very interesting incident happened with me. There was this student who came to me. Since we are humanities department, so many of the students feel comfortable coming to us. And one of the student had come to us, and she said that in hostel she's facing a lot of problem because of her roommate. She had a roommate who was into drugs, and although nobody else was knowing about it, but she was the one who was sharing with me. Although I am not a warden in the hostel, but she still wanted me to intervene into this, and she said that she's unable to concentrate on her studies because this girl was into it, and all the time she was present in the room and she was behaving in a manner that was disturbing her a lot. So she just wanted me to do something about it. So I was into this ethical dilemma now, what to do. Because if I am going to tell this to the authorities, then this girl who was into drugs, although she belonged to a very good family and still she was into this, both her parents were doctors. I was surprised to know this also. So I mean, if I reveal this to anyone, then this girl is going to act in a way that not going to herself. This girl who had come to me for needed help. Now I was in absolute dilemma now what to do and what not to do. So I called that girl also, her roommate, the one who had come to me, her roommate I called, and both of them, I make them sit together and we discussed, and not just once, I called her many times, and this is how I resolved the issue. I counseled both of them, and somehow we managed to bring both of them on track. So these situations as teachers we always face, that students are coming to us with some personal problems also. Now on one hand we have to see that the students identities is not disclosed. On the other hand we also have to see that their behavior is checked. We also at the same time we have to see that our organization's image is not damaged. So I think these are dilemmas that we face every day in our life. So now, how do we handle these situations? These questions arises with us, like whether it is right to be dishonest for a good cause, or what is right, what is wrong, what is the good or better choice. And this is where professional ethics come as a rescue. And ethics are not something in black and white. They are not absolutely right, and there's nothing absolutely wrong. There are gray areas, and we have to choose not the absolutely right choice, but we have to choose a better choice. We have to choose and see what is it that will work well in the best manner, the best possible solution to a particular problem. And that's why ethical code of conduct would be our best resource. One would ask, what is ethical code of conduct? What are professional ethics? So before we go on to that, we must first technically define. Ma'am, can we move to the next slide? What are ethics? We need to define technically what are ethics. We have seen generalized ethics. It's a branch of moral philosophy which gives us a sense of rightness or wrongness of actions, motives, and the results of these actions. Like whatever we are going to do, what is going to be the result of that particular action on the people who surround us. Ethics is a science of character, habits, of activity, or behavior of human beings. In short, it is a discipline that identifies good or evil, just or unjust, just or unjust, fair or unfair practices. It's about moral duty. So it is well-based standards that a person should do concerning rights, obligations, fairness, benefits to society, and so on. Like we have to strike a balance between our rights and our duties. When we are exercising our rights, we should also keep in mind that we are not encroaching about the other people's right who are around us. So that's how we will limit ourselves, our actions, and set boundaries around us so that we are not disturbing the rights or we are not encroaching upon the rights of the people who surround us. It is a system that addresses the questions of human morality. What should be a standard way for people? There should be some universal guided on principles to actually make a decision on what to choose, what is the right option to choose or right solution to choose in a given situation. What is the appropriate action? What should be an ideal human conduct like? When we have to make a choice between two things, ethics determine what is right, values determine what is important. So we have to also distinguish between what are ethics and what are values. Ethics will help us in practical decision making. Every professional organization works on certain principles and beliefs which are nothing but the values. So it is very confusing for us to demarcate or differentiate between values and ethics. So for that, we need to know what are the differences between ethics or morals and values. I mean, there are slight difference, very subtle differences. But before we go on to ethics, we must know that they are not morals, they are not values. They are something else. And what are they? They are very closely related terms. Morals refer mainly to guiding principles. We have morals in our all ancient texts. If we go to our ancient texts like Bhagavad Gita, we go to say Ramayana, we go to Bible, we go to Quran. We would get all these morals, where what is right, what is wrong is taught to us since childhood. But those morals are not ethics. Ethics refer to specific rules and actions or behaviors. These are set of rules that define allowable actions or correct behavior. Something which is morally correct need not be ethically correct in a given situation. On the other hand, values refer to the beliefs on which a person has an inherent
I request participant please mute.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So values refer to the beliefs for which a person has an enduring preference. That is, values are personal in nature. Whatever personal values, for example, I'm explaining this with the help of example. For example, if there's a person for whom becoming successful is more valuable or more important rather than being honest. All right, so this is something his personal choice. But when it comes to ethical choice, we'll have to say that being honest is more important than being successful. I hope this example of mine differentiates, it clearly differentiates between what is value and what are ethics. Ethics are for an organization. They are principles, they are guiding principles for an organization on which the members of the organization or the policy makers of the organization will make their decisions. It helps them in decision making, in policy making. They are same in a profession. For example, for a lawyer, the ethics will remain same throughout the country. Somebody who is practicing in the in North India, or why only our country? Across the globe, these ethics are same. For the profession of a lawyer, the ethics are going to be same across the globe. Whatever is ethically correct here in India will also be considered to be ethically correct somewhere abroad. So there are constraints in it. Meanwhile, values are individual. They vary from person to person. For me, something I value may not be the same as somebody else values. So there are individual differences, and values act as motivation for us. Now, before we go on to, we must also know what is profession. Profession is derived from a Latin word. Ma'am, yes, ma'am, this slide. Thank you, ma'am. Profession is derived from a Latin word, professio. And professio is a declaration, an avowal, or a commitment. The definition of the word profession itself involves commitment. It means, the word itself means commitment. Now that says it all. Commitment is that we are committed to the cause of this profession. I am not going to go against the dignity of my profession. I am going to keep the dignity of my profession. My actions, my words, everything is going to be in sync with the dignity of my profession. So a profession involves a claim to special knowledge and an allegiance to a commitment that extends beyond what might be conceived as immediate self-interest. So we must not misunderstand that profession is a source of earning or a source of living. It is not for immediate self-interest, although the net result is earning, but still that is not the sole objective of it. In the definition itself, it is inherent that a code of ethics governs the activities of each profession. It is public service that we indulge into when we are into a profession. It is enforced by the profession and are acknowledged and accepted by the community. So these guiding principles, that is the professional ethics, they are enforced by the profession, and those ethics are accepted by the rest of the community belonging to that profession. So a good professional role must be part of a good profession. A good profession is one which involves a commitment to a key human good. And therefore, we link profession with ethics. So what is a professional code of ethics? Professional code of ethics is a set of principles designed to help professionals distinguish right from wrong in order to govern their decision making. So this is going to help them. It's a guide. These principles act as a guide to help the person in decision making so that he can govern these organizations smoothly, properly. These principles outline the mission. So we just can't say that a particular, we can't say that a particular, it's not on our fancies or our personal preferences that we would design these ethics. These are principles that are outlined, which go into this with sync with the mission of an organization, the objective of a particular organization. Whatever organization sets out to achieve, accordingly, the ethics are designed. Why professional code of ethics important to us? Why every organization should have these principles which will guide them? Because interdependence of the harmony at different levels and coexistence is important. Happiness not only for self but also for others. Ethical practices have an impact on sustainability of an organization. See, the image, the reputation of an organization plays a very important role in its sustainability. So for an organization to sustain, it is very important that they uphold the reputation and dignity of that organization. And that comes from ethical practices. To ensure employees are behaving in a manner that is socially acceptable and respectful to one another. Every one of us would like to work at a place where people are respecting each other, where we command respect. We wouldn't like to work in such a place where our dignity is compromised. So that will be ensured only when the organization follows professional ethics. And not only that, this is something which goes true for the internal arrangement of an organization. This is also true externally. Externally, it acts as a statement of an organization's values and commitments. So the reputation outside the organization also depends on the ethical practices a particular organization follows. It makes the organization self-regulating and self-governing. In the absence of these ethical code of conduct, the organization would not know what is good, what is bad, what is acceptable, what is unacceptable, and what is wrong, what is right. And if disciplinary actions have to be taken, then what are the rules and policies on which those actions have to be taken? So implementation would not be possible. There will be clash of personal values with commercial interest. An organization doesn't only have to work for commercial interest. They have to value, if they have to be sustainable, they have to also work for, that's why this corporate social responsibility has come into being. Now it's a law. Every organization has to indulge into 2% of CSR every year, and they also have to declare it and showcase it in the websites, because it's there in the profession itself that it is committed to the social cause also. So they have to work for not only for their commercial gain but also for the society. We learn about the character of the organization through the ethical code of conduct or the ethical practices in an organization. It specifies behavioral expectations, valuable organization tools regarding its character and expectations are derived from these principles. And when these ethical codes of conduct are designed, then we also have to see what kind of language is being used. The language of such a document should be clear and free from slang. It is a mechanism for enforcement. Understanding these leads to a healthy professional relationship. Once we understand what are the particular principles or code of professional ethics of a particular organization, that will help us understand the relationship of that organization outside with the other organizations in public. Ethics are implemented in the organization to ensure the protection of the interest of stakeholders, all the stakeholders, like customers, suppliers, employees, society, government, all. So these principles, they ensure that the interest of all the stakeholders is it is protected. We not only serve our organizations, but we also act as stewards of decisions that impact the good of society. So our decisions are not individual decisions. When we are working in a profession, we are not responsible only for our actions within the organization, but our actions will have an impact on the outside society, on the environment, and on the greater economy. So keeping all these things in mind, we have to see how we design the ethics or the code of ethics or the code of conduct for our particular organization. Now, this is an example of code of ethics of Amazon. I've taken this example so that we can see what kind of language is used in designing these documents. Like in performing their job duties, Amazon.com employees should always act lawfully, ethically, and in the best interest of Amazon.com. This code of business conduct and ethics, the code of conduct, sets out basic guiding principles. Employees who are unsure whether their conduct or the conduct of workers comply with their manager or the legal department. Employees may also report any suspected non-compliance as provided in the legal department's reporting guidelines referred to in paragraph 9 below. So we can see that this sample of code of ethics from Amazon tells us or gives us the image of Amazon. It gives us a glimpse into its character. What kind of company is Amazon? What principles are they following? Are they having ethical practices or not? So there is a difference between code of ethics and code of conduct. Code of ethics are guiding principles for the policymakers, and code of conduct is a guiding principle for the employees, how they have to conduct themselves in a particular situation, in a given situation. So code of ethics we have just seen. What is a code of conduct? This is a document where simply the principles and a set of expectations are laid down. It is not just a set of rules, but they convey values and principles. So the code of conduct is based on values and principles. Organizations cannot solely rely on an individual's ethics, or we may call values. As I said, individuals have values, but organizations have ethics. So because they are different for different individuals. So organizations cannot rely on a particular individual's ethics or morals or values. They have to see that all the employees, they are common for all the employees. Everybody working in a particular organization behaves in a universal manner. So that's why they have these principles. Organization becomes a corporate body to lay down these principles, and these principles will include unity, that is sense of we, then standards which are universal for everyone, direction about the journey of the organization. Where are they heading towards? What are their objectives? What are their goals they want to achieve? So all this will be, we get this idea of about an organization through the code of conduct that they have laid down for themselves. I have also taken this example from Twitter, code of conduct of Twitter. And we can make out the difference between the code of conduct and the code of ethics. Earlier we had seen code of ethics of of Amazon. Now we are seeing the code of conduct of Twitter. it is an expected behavior, like how the employees of the organization should work. What is the expected behavior? They should treat others with dignity and respect. They should refrain from demeaning or discriminatory behavior and speech. They should be mindful of your surroundings and of your fellow participants. Alert Twitter staff if you notice a dangerous situation or someone in distress. So, code of ethics are guiding principles. Meanwhile, code of conduct are actions. What are the actions that can be taken in a given situation? So the language will be different for both the documents. Code of ethics is going to be a little general. It's a broader perspective. And code of conduct is going to be specific. It will lay down situation by situation, how and what is going to be the behavior and actions, the words of a particular employee in a particular situation. And what are the principles on which these professional ethics are based on? There are 6 principles that set the standard, that they have to be innovative. They have to be innovative. It's very important for all the professionals. It's expected of them that they should be innovative. They should not stagnate. They should go on creating. They should be objective. They should not act subjectively. They should not act differently with different people. They should not discriminate. They should be honest and fair. They should be responsible for their actions, for their words. They are holding a particular position in a given organization, and they should act responsibly, maturely. They should be respectful about others. They should be forthright. They should be able to take some stand if they are correct. So these are 6 principles on which the code of ethics and the code of conduct are based on. I have taken some examples here. Like, as I said, that code of professional ethics are universal throughout the globe. So, like, for example, I've taken lawyers. Lawyers are bound to a professional code of ethics that exists independently of their employment. That means if they are a member of the Bar Association, everybody knows about Bar Association, then they need to follow the rules laid down by American Bar Association Model Rules of Professional Conduct. Similarly, physicians. Physicians are held to a universal code of conduct because of their chosen profession, and that has been laid down in the by the American Medical Association. Similarly, businesses, they rely on confidentiality and privacy policies, obeying the law, and caring and consideration policies. So this is going to be universal across the globe. For these professions, for example, which I've taken, we also have to see what is sustainability, because sustainability is something which we cannot define in absolute terms. The concept of sustainability keeps changing from time to time. Sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So in general, if we say what is sustainability, we have to say that it is a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So हमें हमारा ही नहीं करना है, but we also have to see that once we have fulfilled our needs, the coming generation also has resources to fulfill theirs. We just can't say that no, today we need this, so we are going to consume this. Now we are not going to worry about what is going to happen in future, because that is not our concern. Let them think when they come. We can't do that. This is sustainability in general. Sustainability does not by itself answer the question of value, because it keeps changing. For example, if we talk about the present pandemic scenario, now the concept of sustainability has changed completely in the present scenario. Because The question now is not about the survival of the future generation. The question is about the survival of the present generation. Because if we think about future now, then the present generation will get destroyed. For example, we have to wash hands for 2 minutes completely. And in those 2 minutes, a lot of water will be used. But before COVID, we were told that we are not used, we have to save water and we don't have to waste it. And when we are washing hands, we have to see that the water is not consumed. Just the needed quantity of water is consumed. But now what is happening? Because of this COVID scenario, we have to wash our hands for 2 minutes. We have to wash our clothes every time we are going out. We have to wash so many other things. We have to sanitize so many other things. And we are using water like anything. And the concern is also being shown that because of this usage, the tremendous usage of water now, we might end up in having water scarcity. But because we might end up, the thought that we might end up in water scarcity later will not deter us in using the water now. Why? Because if we don't do it now, then there would be no future. So the future to be sustainable, it is very important that our present is saved first. So there are these sustainability ethical dilemmas. And this sustainability concept changes from time to time. Sustainability does not by itself answer the question of value. It opens that question and invites debate as to how the values at its heart should be filled in. For a society to be sustainable, it needs to produce the attitudes and ideas that underwrite its continuation. So that's why that continuity needs to be there. As I was talking about the pandemic, there are many ethical dilemmas in today's times. Now, these ingredients are liable to shake up our ethical principles. Our ethical principles have shaken up because of the crisis that we are facing in today's times. We have to sharpen our ethical dilemmas, and it's leading to situations of major caregiver sufferings. Sustainable here, imbalance between utilitarian and individual ethics is leading to unsolvable discomforts and very critical ethical choices we have to make. For example, lockdown or no lockdown. It was a great dilemma whether to choose lockdown or not to, because in both the cases we were having threat to lives. So we had to make a choice of not absolute right or wrong, but of a better choice where lesser number of people are going to die. So that's why we chose lockdown. Although choosing lockdown again posed a lot of problem, but that was the better choice at that particular time. Similarly, prioritizing the use of ICUs. We all know that what happened in Italy. They had to make ethical choices. There was ethical dilemma. Now, because there were the number of patients outnumbered the number of ICU beds, so they had to make a choice who they are going to supply the ICUs or are going to avail ICUs, and who were left to die. So then they made a choice, a better choice, to save the young people at the expense of older ones. Although it was a difficult choice, but they had to indulge in that choice. So these are ethical dilemmas that we face from time to time. Other things that we faced in this time of pandemic, some businesses did not shy away even from making money out of the suffering. They made those choices. For example, few companies withdrew hand sanitizers from the market, and they created a supply shortage. And that's why there was a spike in demand. In June, if you remember, there was the demand for the supply of sanitizers rose tenfold. And that's how they could increase the prices. The prices increased threefold. Ethical choices. Those companies, they did it. They thought that was ethical for them. Ethical perception may vary according to legal or societal specificities. So, what is ethical today might not be ethical tomorrow. Something that was ethical in the past might not be ethical today. So, sustainability, ethics, they keep on changing. They are not specific. They are not stable. They depend upon the situation. Then there was the other side of the coin as well. There were so many people who thought that this was an opportunity to do good to others. For example, there were some employers who extended help to their employees in spite of the lockdown, in spite of no work. The employees were being paid. I think most of us would have paid their maids at that time. We paid our maids without them having to work for us. So this was also going on. I would like to cite this famous case study from Merck and Company. This is a pharmaceutical company. This is taught across business school. This case study, it offers a great example of business ethics. This company had found a cure for river blindness. There's a disease called river blindness, and this disease is caused to people who are staying in rural areas and who do not have much paying capacity, and it is also caused by a fly. That's after the sting of a fly, river blindness is caused. That means automatically at the age of 40, somebody who's stung by this fly will go blind at the age of 40. This disease was common only in rural areas amongst people who didn't have much paying capacity. So this company was developing a drug, spending more than $100 million, just very apprehensively, because they knew that they are not going to earn any profit by developing this drug. Why? Because this kind of disease was common in the people who could not pay much. So they knew that they are not going to get returns. So they gave it for free. And they did it. It was not just for the sake of CSR, but they did it just like that. And that was the decision that upholds the image of the company, Merck and Company. So in this context, the government's recent move to consider the healthcare spends of private companies as CSR is welcome. So just after that, government declared that the whichever company is spending whatever amount on healthcare will be considered as CSR. So this particular example is something which we all look up to. Whether it's for brand building or for social, it does not matter. What matters is that you're doing it. Ethics, not capitalism, will eat profits in the long run. In the long run, what is going to pay to us is ethics. So when every organization indulges into ethical practices, only then the sustainability of our generation, of our race, human race, is possible. Another aspect of this is how can we relate it to our profession, that is teaching profession. We all are teaching in teaching profession. We belong to teacher fraternity, and we all share the same kind of problems, the same kind of dilemmas that we come across in our profession. Teaching is the most noble profession of all, one of the most ethically demanding jobs. I would say, next to doctors, I think it's teachers whose job is most ethically demanding. Teachers play a huge role in students' lives. And not only that, the role of the teacher has changed drastically. Earlier, teacher was an expert knowledge transmitter, a professor who professed, who lectured. Now, a teacher is a facilitator, just a facilitator, or a coach and collaborator. So we are just instrumental. We are a medium through which a student would get knowledge from somewhere else. They are not solely dependent upon us now. So there is this shift in the present times, and this paradigm shift from teacher-centric to learner-centric education. We have shifted from earlier, the whole concentration of the whole focus was on teaching, but now that's how we have to cater to their needs. Teacher commitment is the dignity of that profession. So that's why it is all the more important that we have guiding principles for us. These are set of guiding principles for making judgments and behavior in a given situation. We have to ensure that these educational guides remain unbiased and fulfill their objective of providing uncompromising education. It's not easy. We have to adhere to so many principles, so many rules to be able to get to that place. Without it, the educational process cannot function smoothly. Ethics govern decision making and conduct ensures action. So both the things are important even in teaching profession. That is code of professional ethics, at the same time code of conduct. Above all, we have to try to give personal attention to students. There are several things which come to our mind when we talk about professional ethics of teaching profession. For example, that the teacher should refrain from giving physical punishment or sexual abuse, indulging in sexual abuse with students, or having a mental and physical harassment, indulging into that. We have to recognize education as a public service. So our profession is such there where the primary objective is public service. Teachers should always stay away from conflict between their professional work and private interests. They have to uphold professional role more than the private one. And for this, the ethics laid down by UGC comes handy for us because they have to be universal. They have to be followed universally throughout the teaching profession. And for that, UGC has laid down certain principles in the Gazette, which act as a guiding principle in framing the code of ethics and code of conduct in all institutes. So wherever we have to frame policies or we have to make these documents of code of conduct or code of ethics, then we have to look up to these regulations and principles laid down by the UGC. And what do they say? Teachers and their responsibilities. Very clearly, UGC has laid down in the Gazette itself that what are the responsibilities of teachers. They must adhere to a pattern of conduct and demeanor expected of them by the community. So the first expectation from a teacher is that they must adhere to a pattern of conduct and demeanor expected of them by the community. So they cannot act irresponsibly. Teachers cannot act irresponsibly. They have to act according to what the community expects of them. They have to manage their private affairs in a manner consistent with the dignity of the profession. And that reminds me that these days there is a trend that everybody has to have a DP in their mobile phone, and also they have their status to share. And sometimes it is very shocking that some of the teachers, when they are having these profile pictures or they're sharing pictures on status, they are unmindful of their profession. They don't keep in mind that whatever they're sharing in public platform, is it consistent with the dignity of the profession? So that is something which we all must take care. This is second point, which is very clearly mentioned by UGC, that you have to manage private affairs in a manner consistent with the dignity of the profession. These days we say that students do not respect teachers. But that is just one side of the coin. Are we, I mean, I don't say most of us, but then I would say some of us, do we command respect? It cannot be enforced, it has to be commanded. So the second point emphasizes on that. Then the third point is seek to make professional growth continuous through study and research. So it is not something additional that we are doing if we are indulging into research or we are studying. That is our duty that is being laid down by the UGC itself. Continuous growth. So teachers should always strive towards continuous, and that's why when we are filling our API forms, we have to mention there what is that extra we have done in a particular year with which we are being assessed. Have we studied? Have we done our professional growth? Have we done something in research? The next point says express free and frank opinions. So it is expected of teachers that in every platform, they must express themselves frankly. They should come out with what they think or what is their opinions, suggestions. Everything should be expressed freely. Next point says maintain active membership of professional organizations. So it is desirable of teachers that they become members of professional organizations that also will act or contribute in the growth of teachers. Then the next point is perform their duties conscientiously and with dedication. We all are very well aware about our duties. How do we carry them out conscientiously and with dedication? Then cooperation while delivering their duties. So not only you don't have to work in isolation, we have to work in cooperation with the others who are around us. Then participating in co-curricular and extracurricular activities of students. When I was young and I was a freshman teaching for teaching profession, I used to think always, why are we having our duties for co-curricular activities or extracurricular activity? What it has to do with us teachers? Let us teach and go, and why this extra work? But by and by, I realized that by participating in co-curricular and extracurricular activities with the students, we are becoming a better facilitator. And perhaps that is why UGC has laid down this in its 8th point, that participating is a duty. It is not an obligation that we are doing. It is a duty, integral part of our duties. And the second important point here is how are we going to have or how are we going to work with the students? What kind of relationship a teacher is going to have with the students? We are going to respect rights and dignity of students. Now, every now and then in newspapers, we come across a news where a teacher has violated the dignity of students. They are physically harassing them. They are sexually harassing them, mentally harassing them. Although the other side of the coin is also there. Sometimes the students are not acting respectfully with the teachers, but on the teacher's part also we come across these incidents every now and then. They have to deal justly and impartially. Many a times we come across teachers who are partial. That is not what is expected of them. They also have to recognize the aptitude and capabilities of their students. They just don't have to give the lecture and go away. They have to recognize what kind of aptitude is there in a particular student, what are their capabilities, what are their areas of improvement, how they can be developed, what opportunities can be offered to the students so that their aptitude and capabilities can be utilized to the fullest. Then encourage the students to improve their attainments. Nowadays, for NBA, etc., attainment is very important. This word attainment carries a lot of weightage. We are all the time striving, teachers are all the time striving towards the course outcomes or course the program objectives being attained. So we have to do this as a duty. Then the UGC is also guiding us on the relationship between teachers and non-teaching staff. How teachers have to treat them, their colleagues, and equal. We have to treat them. The non-teaching staff has to be treated like colleagues and as equal partners in the development of the institute. So the important or the primary duty of a teacher is the development of the institute. And for that, they have to treat even their colleagues, their non-teaching staff members as equal partners. Only then the institute is going to develop. They should also support a joint council of teaching and non-teaching staff. They should not discriminate against them, but they should work jointly for the upliftment and development of the institute. It also states down, the UGC also lays down the relationship between teachers and guardians. It helps in maintaining contact with the guardians. The teacher has a contact with the guardians. They have to see that the guardians are informed and they are taken into confidence, and both the teachers and the guardians together work for the development and growth of the students. Then next, UGC also tells us about the relationship between teachers and society. We have to recognize that education is public service and spread the same in society. So it is for social cause, for social good, that we have to teach. So when we are teaching, we have to keep in mind that we are shaping the members of the society. And we have to work to improve education in our community. We have to be aware of social problems and contribute in their eradication. So we not only have to teach, the teacher's role is also there in eradicating the social problems. If we identify a particular social problem which is there in our society, in our community, or at local level, then we also have to strive and contribute in their eradication. The teacher also has to perform the duties of citizenship and shoulder responsibilities of public offices. So this is another guideline that UGC is giving, that as a citizen, we have to work for the upliftment of our country, our nation. We have to refrain from taking part in activities which promote hatred on the basis of caste, religion, language, and work for national integration. So we have to see that we are not discriminating or demeaning the other person's religion. We're not discriminating students on the basis of religion, caste, or language. Or we are not prejudiced against a certain community. All these things a teacher has to abide by. So this reference is also given for your perusal. That is UGC P 92 by 1989. This is the gazette number. You can find these regulations laid down by UGC. Now, one more thing that is included in ethics is etiquette. Because if you want to command respect, you should learn how to give respect. And one of the ways in which we give respect or command respect is through communication. And written communication these days plays a very important role in all the professions. These days, it is very common to exchange emails. More than the letters, we are exchanging emails. And we all know that written communication is more authentic than the verbal, the oral one. So the quickest medium for written communication is emails, through emails. Many of us are writing emails so many times in a day, but there are few things that we should be mindful of when we are writing emails, and that is the use of appropriate tone. Sometimes when we are writing, we don't realize the kind of tone that we are using. The tone should not be offensive, and sometimes if you're using wrong words, or the choice of words is such that a wrong tone is explicit, then that might get us into trouble. And that would stop us from adhering to ethical practices. The first, if we take example, we'll see that the tone can be too abrupt. If we compare these two sentences which I have taken, for example, the first one says, please send me your board paper immediately.
Ma'am? Sarika ma'am, you are not audible now.
Hello. Ma'am, you are not audible.
Yes, ma'am, something went wrong.
Yeah, Sarika ma'am, you are here,
Yes, yes, ma'am.
but you are not.
I left the meeting due to some technical errors. I don't know.
Yeah, ma'am.
I was put off out of the meeting.
Okay, ma'am, can you just log out and log in once again?
Yes, I did that. That's how I could get the access now.
Okay. Now you are visible, ma'am.
Am I? And am I audible
Yeah.
as well?
Yes, you are
Let
audible
me
also.
continue now.
Okay, ma'am.
We were doing yes. So we were doing email ethics. I was telling you about these two examples. We were comparing these two examples where the use of please is there. In both the sentences we see please is being used. But if we just notice the tone of the first sentence, we'll find that please send me your board paper immediately sounds like an order, in spite of the word please being used. But in the second sentence, we see, please send me your board paper immediately. We've got a new chair and the pressure is on to produce our papers on time this month. And also using exclamation mark along with it. It sounds humble. It doesn't sound like an order. It sounds like a request. So the use of please, sometimes we think that if we are using the word please or kindly is enough. It's sufficient. No, you have to see after reading the complete sentence, what kind of tone you notice when a certain sentence is being read. So we have to be mindful and careful while using such things. So it should not sound too abrupt. Or in other case, it should not sound too flowery as well. For example, ma'am, the next slide I want. Yes, this one. Thank you. So this is another example where we are comparing two sentences. Let's see the first one. May I kindly ask if you had a chance to review the template I previously sent, attached for your easy reference. And the second one, can you please review the template I sent you last week, attached. Now, what is the difference between these two sentences? The first one is too flowery. And because of being so kind and so humble, overdoing that, the real, say, the message is lost. The person who's reading, the reader is not able to get the clear message what the person is asking him to do or her to do. But in the next sentence, we see, can you please review the template I sent you last week? Attached. As simple as that. So in spite of being simple, it is at the same time polite. Another example, when you're too angry, emails are more conversational than many other types of writing. And that's why if you're too angry, that is very explicit while writing. Next slide, ma'am. So that's why, because it is conversational in tone, we make greater use of the personal pronouns like I, me, my, we, you, and your. So, for example, I am organizing an event and I would like assistance with the invitations. I will send the draft and I would like words filled. Now, we notice in this sentence the use of I sounds as if I is very important and the reader is not as important. But on the other hand, if we write the same thing using you, would you be able to help write the copy for the event I'm organizing? I'll send you the draft to see what you think. So just see, in the second sentence, we see you becomes more important. So here, if somebody who is a reader is treated as being important, only then that person is going to reciprocate in the same manner. Also, another sentence is, if we want to compare, you promised to send me the final draft yesterday and you still haven't sent it. I need to sign off the final draft. Can you please send it now? So these two sentences, again, if we compare, we'll find that the first sentence, that is, you promised to send me the final draft yesterday and you still haven't sent it, sounds as if you are very angry. But the same idea, if it's conveyed in a different manner, saying, I need to sign off the final draft, can you please send it now? Will get a better response. Use of please and thank you. We have to use please and thank you very carefully. Can you please remember to send your invoice as soon as possible as the work is completed? This statement implies you didn't send the invoice out promptly last time. So even when you're using please, this kind of use will show that you are complaining. But if you say thank you in anticipation, sometimes thank you in anticipation would also come across as a camouflaged command, whereas many thanks seems less demanding. So when we're using please, thank you, we have to see that sometimes uh, we are very sure that if you're using please and you're using thank you, that's going to work wonders for us. It's going to be very considered to be very modest and polite. But no, that is very evident through these two examples. That if you're using please remember to send, that means you are saying that the other person doesn't remember. Next, the thank you in anticipation is like an order. But I'm thanking you in anticipation. That means I'm compelling the person to do what I require him to do. So it is a command. Whereas if I say many thanks, is simply thanking. And use of slang should also be avoided while writing emails. The present, the current generation, the coming generation, they are very fond of using slang. Even though email is not as formal, but at the same time, it is part of formal writing. So slang should be avoided, and that will be non-ethical. And that's how we reach the conclusion that professional ethics and sustainability should become necessary component of any professional education because of the reasons that we just discussed. I personally feel, and I hope everybody else will agree with me, that professional ethics and sustainability should become necessary component of any professional education. It should be there for engineers, for doctors, prospective engineers, prospective doctors, for business graduates, all these students who are having professional education should be taught professional ethics and sustainability both. The broader social vision of sustainable prosperity is one that will require all professionals to consider their responsibility to lead, to push, to initiate, to reshape, and to rethink the actions within their power so as to be so far as possible part of the solution rather than being part of the problem. So we must strive that we don't create problems, rather we solve them. being a responsible professional, entrusted by society with the privileges of such a role. Because if you are a responsible professional, if you are a professional, then you are enjoying a privilege in a society. And if you're enjoying a privilege in a society, you should involve an orientation to taking initiative in bringing about the future that global society most needs. So that's why we have to act as responsible professionals, precisely because that future does not yet exist. Indeed, it is threatened. Our future is threatened, and that's why it becomes all the more important, all the more necessary that we act responsibly now. The duties on professionals should be acknowledged to be far more demanding. Sustainability should be considered as a universal value. More has to be done into this field to make our future sustainable, to make our development sustainable. I have also included some references here for listeners, for the participants to for further if they want to go into detail of whatever we have taken up today. And that's all from my side, and I'm open to discussion and queries now.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You have included all the aspects of professional ethics. I would like to invite all the participants, those
Privilege
who
is
are.
entirely mine. The privilege is entirely mine.
Yes, ma'am?
I said the privilege is entirely mine. You need not thank me. Yes.
No, no, ma'am. I would like to invite all the participants, those who have any doubt, they can raise the questions. This is interactive session. All the participants, you may raise your doubts. This is open forum. You can ask. Ma'am, you have covered all the aspects. I think we do not have any doubts now.
Yes, I assume that. I assume that I have satisfied all their queries and questions in my presentation itself. Maybe.
All the doubts, all the things have been covered, ma'am. Thank you
Okay.
so much, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm
Thank,
privileged to have been invited to such a forum where I could get across to so many participants across India. Thank you so much, IPS, and thank you the organizing team, Rekha ma'am and your team, everyone. Thank you so
yeah.
much.
Thank you so much once again, ma'am. And we are expecting in future endeavors such kind of sessions as well now.
Absolutely.
Thank you once again, ma'am.
Thank you. So can I leave now?
Yes, yes, sure, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay.